All righty. Welcome and welcome back to the show. This is Real Reality Realness. I am Sean Ellis Rogers, and I put the mess in the message. I am so excited to have this person on the show today. They are an originating cast member of the Real Housewives of Dallas, and I cannot wait to get to know them and their huge personality even better. So, ladies, gentlemen, and every gender or lack thereof in between, join me in welcoming to the show LeeAnne Locken. How are you doing, gorgeous?
After that intro, I'm gonna have to question my own gender. I like to refer to myself as a it.
That I just let everybody register me however they choose. If you register me as male, call me he. If you register me as female, call me she. When in doubt, pick C and call me they. It's fine.
See, now I go with the B. If you could
Love
just go ahead and I register as bitch. I identify as bitch.
I identify as bitch. Thank you.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. How are you feeling today?
Wonderful. This has been a crazy busy Wednesday for me, but I am grateful as the day is long. And that's my new 2023 is all about reminding myself to live in a state of gratitude instead of envy or stress or anything else. It is about gratitude. It is about being grateful for where you are, what you have, and how you manage to just breathe in and release.
Absolutely.
Sorry. My neighbor is knocking on the door and my husband answered.
Hey, husband. Hey, neighbor. God bless y'all. They all right, child. You all right, love. You good. Tell me,
Yes.
how's your weave?
It's not exhausted anymore. I know, she had a long nap, child. She needed it. She was like, she was spent, and she took a nap and she got some good conditioner, and she came right back to life.
Love that.
Yeah, she's been seen at the roundup a couple of times recently.
Really?
Oh yeah.
How are the boys? How are they?
Boys are great. All the boys at the roundup are having a good old time.
And then my love.
I definitely will.
When I say that was one of the funniest things I've ever heard on television, I was like, now my weave is exhausted. I said, girl, yes.
Do you know what's so funny is when they were telling me about, like, they were putting the teaser together, the teaser for the new, and they were like, right now it ends with you saying, I'm exhausted, my weave is exhausted, penny liner, my underwear is exhausted. And I was like, you're a liar. I never said that. And I'm like, that's just the shit that flies out my mouth. So I learned to stop arguing with them about what I did or didn't say. But yeah,
like, let it play out.
That was just me being as truthful as the day is long. I was tired. I was done. Had I gone back upstairs, Deandra had to go to the ICU. It just was not,
It was not the time for that. So tell my audience, who is LeeAnne Locken?
She a crazy bitch. I mean, AZ. She's a Gemini. She loves people, loves life. Just really, my grandmother used to say, because my grandparents raised me, my grandmother used to say, you wake up every day singing and you go to bed every day crying. And that's still sort of how I try to live my life today. I wake up with such hope for so much, for so many. And, and I literally just work, and then go to bed. I mean, don't mind you, there's a couple of times I have a standing date with my one girlfriend, Heidi. We go out once a week and, we have a good time. But honestly, like, it's really about just continuing to try to make my life and my community a happier, better place.
I absolutely love that.
Oh,
Now,
I got onto a guy last night at a birthday dinner
mhm.
because he was telling me he was gay, but he could not name one nonprofit that helps our LGBTQ community. And I was like, no, bitch, hand over your gay card.
No,
Taking that shit.
that's the perfect reason to take it, for real. That's the
Yes.
perfect reason to take it. But like, wait, you ain't, but you ain't helping people?
He's like, well, I'm busy. And then his husband came down and like, oh yeah, we've been watching Netflix. And I'm like, I ain't that busy, bitch. Okay. You
Not
got
busy
time?
with Netflix. Not busy with Netflix. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Talk about exhausted.
Talk about exhausting.
That is so funny. So elaborate on your childhood. You have one of the most interesting childhoods I've ever heard of, growing up in a carnival
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah. So I mean, my mom, when I was 3, my grandmother sort of uh put her foot down and my mom I moved in with my grandmother because my mom was dropping me off every Friday and then picking me up every Sunday. And for like a 2.5, 3-year old, it was very confusing, right? I didn't know who wanted me or where I belonged or where was safe, what was secure. So finally my grandmother was just like, just leave her here. So I moved in with my grandparents at 3, and my mom somehow started dating somebody on the carnival. Shocker. And sure enough, I mean, they got married, and then it was like every summer, that's what I did. I left when I got out of school. I left to go live with my mom, traveling all over the country, setting up carnivals on the weekends and then tearing down on Monday and moving on Tuesday and Wednesday the day off, a Wednesday setup, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, new city. So, I mean, that's kind of how I grew up, and I I didn't know, as a young child, you don't know any difference. So I thought the whole world was a carny. I loved it. I will say though, for my Gemini side, sparkle lights and just the games and the excitement and the music and the vibe growing up. I think I loved it because it was so entertaining for me as a child. There was always something happening, always. Like it was just, whether I was working or not, there was something that was not boring. So I mean, that's why I always tell people, one thing LeeAnne Locken is everyone agrees she is not boring.
Absolutely.
And I
I'm
think
to-
that's just how I was raised.
I'm totally here for that. Now, what do you think that experience, what impact do you think that that had on your development as a person? Like, what do you think that carnival, carny experience, traveling, moving, the people, the excitement, the lights, how do you think that registered into your nature?
Yeah, so it definitely didn't help my childhood PTSD.
Mm,
It put me sort of into a constant state of hypervigilance. So I just learned to always be on the lookout for something bad happening, because like, I mean, when I was a kid on the carnival, a guy broke out of a nut house, and I know I'm not politically not supposed to say that, a crazy farm, whatever you call those things, institution,
mm,
and stalked me on the carnival, brought me men's cologne. I mean, he looked like Ted Bundy. I mean, like, I'm not kidding. Like, as a child, I was maybe 7,
wow.
and I, everywhere I looked, I would see him staring at me. And I got to a point where it just really freaked me out. He chased me to my trailer one night, and I was screaming and crying. And, I don't know what happened to him, but I mean, I was glad when we left that town. I was really glad. So that childhood put me in a state of constant, like, the world is going to get you. Like as a child, I was mugged for the arcade money. I was stalked by a crazy person. I mean, I don't know many, by the time you're 10, people who have experienced that. So as an adult today, I've had to relearn my automated responses to a lot of things. So I love the meme jokes that go on Instagram, like I finally taught autocorrect. Autocorrect finally typed ducking when no, autocorrect finally typed fucking when I actually wrote ducking. And I was like, she goes, I've broken my autocorrect. I'm like, so that's me. I do things in a very different way that most of the country does not find let's say classy or common conversation. To me, a conversation of sex trafficking and childhood sexual abuse and domestic violence and AIDS and those are common, comfortable conversations for me. But I realize that that's not, Mama, I realize that's not for everybody. That's my bagel.
Oh, baby.
She's afraid I'm gonna put her in that damn hot dog costume.
Bless her heart.
So those are like, I can have a conversation about any of that. And I probably, because I know more than most people, my conversations gear towards more uncomfortable. And I don't mean them to be uncomfortable, because to me, there's no barrier of what you should and shouldn't say, you know, there's no filter. I think the more we talk about things, the less the world needs to be filtered. You know, I think things like sex trafficking wouldn't exist if we talked more about it. So, yeah.
I actually agree with that. I think if people were more clued in on things to look for, red flags, signs, things of that nature, I think it would cause a greater awareness in a preventative standpoint than, now that this has happened to us, now we know what to look for going forward. Right. It's like, oh, now we know what to teach our daughters to look for going into the situation.
But we should be raising them we should raise our children to be slightly more hypervigilant. We should raise our teachers to be slightly more hypervigilant. I mean, in today's times with, mass shootings and everything else, I would probably have survived quite well.
I like that.
I mean, honestly, if you think about it, like, I'd be the first bitch to throw a chair through the window and be like, now, go. And everybody would be like, should we? And I'm like, bye, bitches.
Bye.
My ass going out the window. Y'all stay here and get killed. You know.
That is so funny. Now, let's go back a little bit. When did you fall in love with reality TV?
I never did. Child, I'm not not only did I never fall in love with it, I'm not a huge fan of it. And so I started reality TV on TV Land. I did a little show called She's Got the Look. Okay. Miserable moment. They cut all my hair off on camera, wouldn't let you see yourself until the final reveal, which was everybody could look at you, but you couldn't look at yourself. They chopped it to here. Yeah. And I had to work with monkeys who basically humped my back, pooped on my butt, and pissed down my leg. And I mean, it's just like, I've never been in a position on reality TV where I was like, oh, this is going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. I've never, never been in that position. So, but I will say this, when I signed up to do Real Housewives of Dallas, one of our huge anchors for Fox 4 here in town, who is a sweet friend. He MCs the Cops Cop every year. It's a big fundraiser for our police community. And I met him there with my now husband. And we've known each other through the years, and he's seen me, do events around the city. But when I signed up for Housewives, I saw him he and his wife at an event, and he said, don't be mad at me. And I said, what'd you do? And he was like, his wife said, well, he put on Facebook that someone he really respected just signed a deal with the devil. And I said, I understand that, Steve, but I want you to remember this. If I go on television and they destroy me, but it helps one person, isn't that what Jesus asked me to do? So, I know I helped way more than one person because I've gotten all the DMs. And, that's the reason I did it. I mean, I didn't do it. I love how some people will say, well, LeeAnne's on television for self-gratifying reasons. There's not much in life I do for self-gratification other than masturbate.
Work. As you should.
That's the only thing that is 100% self-gratifying.
Yeah.
No.
No arguments there.
No. Conversations are just, it's like, she's crazy.
But it's like.
But it's accurate.
Yeah, pretty accurate. I'll take that.
Good.
What did you take away from the overall reception of the audience to you now that the show is completely in hindsight? What do you take away from all of that now?
I think that seasons 1 through 3, the producers for season 2 and season 3, both of the executive producers during those seasons, really, 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 they came to me before we started filming and they were like, the audience just doesn't understand you. They're like, you're this like flower that's closed. And what we want to do is we want to slowly open you up so that people genuinely get to know you and understand you. And the problem was, while that might have been the direction that the producers wanted, my other cast members weren't interested in affording me that growth. I mean, if you ask them today, they would still tell you she didn't grow, I mean, maybe some of them would, but the reality was, really, I used Real Housewives as an opportunity to watch myself and be like, okay, bitch, you got to fix that. Like, okay, you got to stop doing that. Okay, you really need to work on that. And I think through seasons 2 and 3, I really did. I got really good at meditation and minding my amygdala and watching my P's and Q's and not allowing the reactions that I knew my cast wanted. And then I think in season 4, it just became like this eye-opening moment of, for me, season 4 was I wrote it very selfishly because I knew it would be my last season. I knew I really didn't want to keep going. And it was my wedding. And for me, that was the completing the circle. So what I said when I started was, if I get engaged on camera, I want to share that journey with the audience, and I hated how they edited it to make it look like I was begging everyone in my community for my wedding stuff. The truth was, my wedding planner got so many phone calls. I mean, our initials ran on the side of the Omni Hotel, like the entire hotel the night we got married. They didn't even show that on TV. People were calling everybody that I've worked with in charity, like everybody was calling my wedding planner. What can we do? We love LeeAnne. What can we do? And that's truly how it went. That's truly how it went. I mean, and you know what? I wish they would have allowed that more to be more of a blessing on camera than, a personal destruction of LeeAnne, because it really was such a wonderful moment. And my wedding was the most perfect day, the most loving day. Being married at the Cathedral of Hope, the world's largest LGBTQ church, because I don't have any male friends that are straight.
Work.
I really don't.
Good girl.
So I only hang out in the gay community here pretty much. So I mean, for me, like, I just wanted it to be a day where we were all experiencing so much love and joy that it was just overwhelming. And that's really what it was for me and my husband. I mean, we couldn't even get a drink at our reception. We were so like busy and oh my God. And everybody had a great time. Everybody. And my mom stayed to the end, Andy in his ignorance, listening to the producer in his ear instead of listening to what really happened. But whatevs,
it's crazy because, to your point, there's a whole culture around, celebrity and like gift culture and like people, give you this, show it on camera, give you this for free, show it on camera, da 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 da. Star Jones did her whole wedding like that. Let's be real about it.
Say what? Okay.
Star Jones, right?
We all know how it works. So why would you put it out there like I was begging? Yeah,
why shame people for that when you know that's kind of how it works? And that's pretty much how a lot of people fill their closets nowadays. Like that's how a lot of people survive, is off of Instagram deals and, you know, favors and stuff like that. So for them to shame you for that, that's weird to me, because it's like, well, girl, clearly she's doing something right if people want to give her shit for free.
I mean, and the thing was, they honestly, everyone who participated in my wedding is a genuine friend, is someone who I had already done something for. I launched their fashion line in Dallas. I modeled for them in New York, one of their fashion shows. I emceed an event that they worked on that at the last minute, their MC dropped out and LeeAnne showed up with bells on and nailed it. You know, that's the thing that I think, because every year we got new producers, I think they never really understood who I was. And, you know, we had a liberal production company and a liberal network trying to tell me how it works in a conservative state. Never mind if I'm liberal, conservative, I don't care. I live here. I know how shit works here. But you're going to keep telling me how shit works here. I'm like, okay, why don't I come to New York and tell you how to ride the subway? Let's see how you do.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right. And to me, it's so interesting because people want to try to downplay or try to discredit people for getting free things for their wedding, or like doing this or doing that, or like wearing things in lieu of showing it on camera. But nobody has an issue back in the day when like people paid dowries, or like the wife's family paid for the entire wedding. Like, men didn't feel insecure about letting their wife's parents pay for their wedding. Like that wasn't shamed. But y'all want to talk about somebody getting blessed?
Yeah, it's just, I know. It didn't make sense to me, but I will tell you, God's validation was that of all season 4, you know, normally during Housewives shows, it's always reunion 1 or reunion 2 that gets the highest rated episode ever, the entire season. Highest rated episode was my wedding.
Word.
So that was the karma I needed. And you know what? And then, you know, it didn't help that once I was gone, I mean, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Who? Like, no, I mean, 250,000 viewers left with me.
That is a fact.
That is
that is a blatant fact. Like, I ran those numbers. I was like, girl, damn. She said, oh, whoa, sheesh.
And you know what? I didn't want that to happen. I really didn't. But I think that was out of respect for the fact that those people in, because I worked hard to be entertaining. I gave my all. I left nothing on the table. I took every chance that was afforded me and I went for it so that the show would be worth it. I didn't sit back, do nothing, and, you know, take the paycheck.
Like some people whose names I won't mention, whose initials are RD, Robin Dixon.
Oh, bless her heart.
Bless her home. But this ain't that show. Anyway,
she got Giselle to carry her.
Yeah, literally. And I'm no one. Okay. Yeah. You said it. I'll second it.
Okay. That was a deal made in season 1.
That's literally from the day they called her. She was like, "Listen, Robin. Literally, you know who you named after. I'm Batman."
Yep.
Okay. Now, speaking of your cast members, what percentage of the ladies would you say are your actual friends in real life that you can call today and be like, hey, girl, let's go get drinks. Hey, come go to the gay club with me. Hey, come go to service at the church with me. And how many would you say were just coworkers that you just showed up and created a show with?
I would say the majority were coworkers. I would say, who would I want to go spend time with? If I'm going to answer that authentically and honestly, it would be Cameron.
Okay.
It would
I
be
think
him.
that.
I mean, it's not like, listen, if I'm at the bar and I run into Kari Brittingham, don't get me wrong, we're still doing a couple of margaritas together and laughing our asses off, but that's not the person I would call to go hang out with, you know? And she wouldn't call me. It's just we don't run in the same circles. So, you know.
Not a negative thing.
And
That's
then
just...
there are some people on my cast who I could do glorious, miraculous things like rescuing 2 of their dogs from getting killed off a busy street, and they wouldn't even talk to me at a party the next 3 days later.
If it's one thing about, there is a Housewives aesthetic, I swear. There is an aesthetic where girls are like that. Why are girls like that?
I don't know, child, because when your husband's fucking everything in town but you might want to pay attention.
Hello. From the back of the room, from the parking lot, from down the street where the girl took a picture of him in his panty drawers. Okay.
Yes.
Getting specific. We're gonna leave Ashley out of this. What dynamic do you prefer, though? Would you have rather gone through this experience with girls who you consider to be real friends in life, who were your homies, who you kicked it with in real life? Or would you have preferred to just show up, clock in, do your job, and go home?
No, I'm not, I don't dial shit in. I've never dialed shit in. I don't, there's not a moment of my life that I would have just showed up and done a job. I think a lot of models used to get mad at me when I was modeling because I would show up, do my job, and be done. And they'd be like, LeeAnne, take your time getting dressed. You know, we stretch it, we get more hours. And I'm like, fuck that, I got shit to do, man. Like, I'm here. It's a pair of socks. I gotta go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't cheat people out of shit. Like, I just don't. Like, I like to work hard and play hard. And there's no gray for me. You know, I'm on, I'm off, it's black, it's white. I that's me. You know, I will say though, I would have preferred the cast be more comfortable with one another. And I will give you an example from Cameron's birthday party of some shit that authentically happened. That was the funniest shit ever. We're in Cameron's Barbie box trying to get a picture of all of us in the Barbie box. And I've got holding one of Cameron's stuffed dogs. And I make a joke with Brittingham and I shove the little dog's butt in her face and I'm like, sniff it. And she's like, you know, back to the reunion. She's like, no, I don't lick asshole. I like to get my asshole licked. And I'm like, and I start screaming, oh God, not the asshole licking, not the asshole licking. Oh my God, not back to the asshole licking. And then Brittingham goes, well, I like it. And then she's dating a new guy now, right? And his name is Mark. And so she goes, Mark likes to lick my asshole. And I look at Duber and I go, what? And Kari Duber goes, Mark likes to lick her asshole. I say, you said it, honey. They almost fell on the floor laughing. But you see, then they were like running around trying to repeat what was said because it was so funny. But to me, that's what I think the show could have been, given more, I don't want to say trust in each other, but given more comfort in each other, you know?
Yeah. Now, this is where this gets a little bit, this is going to feel touchy. Okay. But
it's hard to be touchy with me.
Oh, okay. But you're in a safe space. You're in a safe space. Hear me out. Okay.
Go for it.
Because as a person of color, I have to ask you these questions.
Ask.
And now that you seem to be cool with Kari, things are fine. We're like years removed. We can go back in retrospect and just touch, right? What? Because my intention on asking these questions is because I want to bring two opposite viewpoints together of people who think something happened a certain way versus what actually happened from your intentional perspective and meet in the middle on that. Because I see what happened and I also see why people perceived it the way that they perceived it, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to try to tell the entire story.
Sure.
What were your intentions in bringing up Kari being Mexican in your comments to her?
I was mimicking Kari. If you listen to Kari in the season that I wasn't there, how many times did she tell the girls, I'm Mexican, I'm Mexican? That's all she ever said. I mean, everywhere we went, I can drink 80 bottles of tequila, I'm Mexican. I can have 80 kids, I'm Mexican. It was all, that was like literally between it's a situation and I'm Mexican was like all that her tags, you know, for me, like people I'm a verbiage person. So for me, what you say, I have a tendency to either flip back at you or find a way to use it to insult you because that was my job on the show. So when I started, what upset me was she specifically wanted to go to this market, this area that I did not want to participate in. I did not want to go to that area. I've worked with unlikely heroes. I've seen videos of 6-month-old babies having their pelvic broken because they were sold for sex. And you know, and again, that's a really deep, dark conversation that most of those girls weren't comfortable talking about. But for me, it's like, it's a reality. It's like, that's not bullshit. That's happening. You're not paying attention. You need to wake up. And so for me, I was already massively triggered, even walking into the ping pong thing, right? So they do first they shoot darts. First, the girls let this woman shoot darts from her pussy at them. How you know that queef is going to make the aim it needs to make? They had to hold balloons over their head.
That's scary, bro.
No, that's stupid. That's stupid.
It is dangerous.
You're gonna let me throw a hatchet at a balloon you hold over your head? Fuck no. Come on now. You know, so I mean, first of all, I was like, I'm moving to the back row because some nasty shit could happen here. I mean, this could be like surgically wrong, you know? And then when they started with the ping pongs, you know, they put paddles out for all the girls because you're supposed to bat the ping pong, you know? I don't know why I figured that out and no one else could. And the first ping pong hit Brittingham, and that bitch, who now for an hour has insisted we go to this place, is the first motherfucker get up and run out the club. Now do you understand where it came from? But I thought you was a big bad girl, huh?
I research all of my guests before I come, and I ask very specific questions for very specific reasons because I want to engage in a thought process that was around the reality of what happened, and I want to meet the reality of what actually happened with the perception of how it read on television.
Yeah.
And find that ground in the middle of like, okay, we get that, we get this. Now this is, you know, what's in the middle. Okay?
But I also want to say this, and I want to be real clear, and people probably should educate themselves about this. I chose at the time to stay quiet because I knew the place that the country was in at that time was very fragile, and I chose to stay quiet and let everybody say what they wanted to say to me at the reunion. Those were not crocodile tears. I was exhausted. I'll be honest, you know, when you shoot a reunion, the first half of the day is usually 1 through 3, and the second half is 4 through 6, right? That reunion, the first half was everybody else, and the entire last 5 hours was just me. So when I started crying, I was tired. And number one. Number two, Kari and I are the same race. Kari is a Caucasian Mexican. That is her nationality. She's a Caucasian is her race. So the fact that Stephanie and Deandra wanted to twist this shit and make it racist was a complete, it's not valid, number one. And then when Andy was like, LeeAnne, how are you not aware of this? I'm like, well, I guess I'm ignorant because I didn't want to try to educate him at the reunion. What was the point? You know, he'd already told me my mother left my reception and was miserable. I'm like, okay, go watch What Crappens, guys. They danced with my mom on her 2 canes. It's just, you know, you get to a point where you're just tired of fighting. You know, have you ever been in that fight with that bitch who just and you're like, you know what, honey? I gotta go. I gotta go. I would rather suck on a margarita than suck the air out of this room like you are. I gotta go. You know, and that's how I was at the reunion. I knew what they were doing, and I knew I wasn't coming back, and they knew it, and they, you know, used it to take it to the extreme. And if you ask Kari Brittingham, she'll be the first person to tell you it was never her idea to call me back. Mm-hmm. She did not want to do that.
Because my intention for talking to you about this is I want to meet in the middle what your intentions were, what was actually going on with the way people take the smallest thing and make it this big, right? Where the viewers are standing, or were standing, I'll say where the viewers were standing is they hear someone who is a white woman address someone by something ethnic and take it across the 300-yard line, right?
Okay.
And the situation is
had she been a cheerleader, I would have said, where's the fucking chirpy cheerleader? Huh? What you gonna do? Come on, cheerleader. Let's go, cheerleader.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
it's the context of how you know somebody.
It was a word to me because I don't think of people racially, ethnicity wise, sexual orientation, gender. I couldn't be who I am in the LGBTQ world if I did any of that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that people's problem is they hear it and they automatically assume what the intention and what your perception is going into it, right? Or what type of person you have to be going into it. Well, and for me, my analysis of the situation was what you said can be perceived a certain way if you have no context, right? You saying that the woman was Mexican, she's a tough Mexican, this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. If you just hear that on YouTube with no content, it sounds racially biased. But then when you dig into the actual season and figure out why she said that, the reason why people get so offended by stuff like that is because usually there's no reason for a person to bring that up.
Exactly.
That's how the person identifies themselves. I'm this because I'm Mexican. I am this because I'm Mexican. She's a bad Mexican bitch. She's the Mexican diva. She's the queen of Mexico. She's that Mexican girl. You know what I mean? It automatically makes sense to me. You know what I'm saying?
She gave herself that title, and I use that title against her.
Right. And the problem is the country that we live in is built on racially biased thinking, right?
No, they're built on cancel culture right now. And here's the thing. Do you understand? If you cancel someone, you can't allow them to learn and grow. And I think the biggest thing was I never saw that as any sort of bias towards race. I mean, at all. We have a restaurant that is one of my favorite restaurants in town, actually called The Mexican. So it's like, am I not allowed to go to the Mexican? I mean, in Texas, you have to understand how often that word is used as a descriptor, And I'm not saying that's an excuse or a reason. I certainly could have come up with other things to address her, other ways to say it. But my trigger, I was triggered beyond the capacity to think for myself. So I used what had been ingrained in my mind.
Yeah. And I think for me, as a Black person, Black people are real used to saying, oh, that's black people shit, that's white people shit, that's this and that's that. So I understand that line of thinking. I think the problem is that race has such a nuance and such a convoluted way of thinking and being perceived in this country that no matter the context, a white woman bringing up race is a problem.
And that's
no
why,
what the context is.
yeah, and that's why I kept my mouth shut. That's why I kept my mouth shut at the reunion, because here's the thing. Ultimately, when you look at me, what you see is white. No matter how much African American I have in me, no matter how much Cherokee Indian I have in me, no matter how much Cajun. I mean, listen, I'm Creole. But you still see I'm a white woman. So as far as the world is concerned, I should just be quiet. But that's not my job.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because I think sometimes it takes a person of color who actually understands to relate and be like, okay, listen, I believe that you understand, as somebody who shows up in the world as a white woman, what you said looked a certain way.
By
right?
far, yes.
I understand, watching and understanding the context, that your intentions had nothing to do with her actually being Mexican.
No.
Right?
No.
So this is why this podcast is a thing, because I want to have the deeper conversation and meet in the middle, because like somebody can say something that is perceived to be racist and not be a racist. Exactly. And I think don't understand that. I think people don't understand that somebody can say something that is perceived a certain way based on the nuance of their culture and their community that you don't have no knowledge of. So you just saying what you know, how you know this person, and other people who aren't involved in that situation, who don't have the context, they're just reading it from their own experience and they make it personal to them, of like, you know, whatever they've experienced through racism and being a person of color, they personify that through anything that you, as somebody who's perceived as a white woman, says. And that's not always fair.
No, but I would say this. So they perceive because of what they've gone through. In other words, they were triggered by my words.
That
was triggered by being in that sex trafficking corner. I was beyond triggered. And it should be the same exact thing. You know what I mean? Like that, I should be allowed the freedom to be that triggered, especially for something like that, where children, you know, I mean, I'll never be able to understand humans that deal in sex trafficking, that deal, especially child sex trafficking. So yeah, that was it. I mean, if you look at it, someone actually in the Miami Housewives first reunion, literally at the reunion called someone a chirpy Mexican, and it went right by Andy's ear, and it was no big fucking deal.
But then again, Andy is consistent in not being educated.
Isn't he consistent? Yeah.
He's consistent at being terrible when it comes to race relations. So shout out to Ben and Lucy, because they're the ones that matter here. They're the ones that matter here. But I'm glad that we were able to have that talk, because I was like, when I told my best friend that you were coming on, she was like, oh shit, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I started researching you. And then that was all I could find at first. Like the first page was just that situation. And so I was like, wait, let me go back and watch the whole season. So I gave myself a day.
Bless your
heart.
Bless your heart.
Well, I really care. And I know, like, I really want to have intentional conversations and really get to the root of what's going on. Because I was like, I think it's pretty clear that I'm a Black person. So I don't think she would have agreed to do the interview with me. Well, if you didn't notice, not bad lighting. Surprise. No, I'm joking.
You know what? My computer's only black and white. Oh, wait.
I was like, oh, hey, there you go. But like, so I was like, well, I don't think she would have agreed, because you probably would have figured I would have asked, right? So
I have nothing to hide. I have absolutely nothing to hide. I know who I am. I know what my belief is. If you look around, if you look on my Instagram at who I take pictures with and my dear friends, you will see every color under the sun, every ethnicity and race under the sun, every gender, every sexuality orientation. I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I like you if I like you. And if I don't like you, there's something wrong with you. It ain't me.
And for me, it's
I'll also say this.
Yeah,
I will
sure.
also say this.
Sure.
Bravo putting that word on camera and making sure everyone except Cameron said yes, that they think I am, didn't help the audience to proceed to allow any time to process it. Hey, Andy said she is, so now everybody is just gonna whatever was said is the truth. But that's not necessarily the truth, you know?
No, I think that they should have given you an opportunity to go through the situation and dissect it the way that we just did. And because if that was the case, they would have been able to separate your intentions from what was actually said based on the context of what happened. And then coupling that with you guys being on a reality show, and a lot of these women don't like your ass right now. They was willing to do anything to send you out the door.
No,
you know,
and that's why I tell you, Deandra and Stephanie decided that night at the baby party that that was what they needed to say. That they needed to, that word needed to be called, I needed to be called that word. And that was how they were going to get me to leave the show. And I'll guarantee you, every year I face something. Season 1, I was dangerous. Season 2, I was crazy and scary. You know, it was just every year it was some new word that you were going to put on me. And once they finally got to that, I mean, I was like, what's next? I'm a pedophile? Like, what? I'm like, I just wasn't interested in playing anymore. You know, and I was told by the vice president of Bravo over my show in my dressing room at the reunion that I could not use the word sex trafficking or they would not air it on camera. So I couldn't explain myself. They didn't want me to. See, and you're the first person I've told that to. So if I can't explain how I was triggered, how can I explain what I said?
Get context to the situation. And see, as somebody who pays attention from different perspectives, I was like, I don't see why y'all so mad. Like, I don't see why y'all so mad. Like, I see why you would have paused. Like, I paused when it happened. I was like, whoa, that was intense. Well, but then I gave myself the entire season. I was like, oh, but that's like who she is, though. Like, that's who she. Okay, cool. Feel how you want to, fine. But I'm glad that I got to talk to you about that because I wanted to have the conversation about white people saying something that may look a certain way, but not always getting the opportunity to not only be educated, but explain the context, because people say stupid shit all the time. And regardless of what anybody can say, white people are not the only people that can be racist. Okay?
Oh, I'm aware.
Not the only people that can say racist things. So start and stop at white people, but it seems like when it comes to a lot of white people, it starts and stops at whatever you say, it makes you that, and there's no explanation. And I don't think that that's fair.
And there's no comeback from it. There's no comeback. There's no grace. There's no, you know, as a white person, I should be educated. Bitch, I'm lazy. Okay, I got Netflix. I mean, sorry.
So in that line of thinking, do you think you wish you would have had another season to come back and like really tell?
Kari Brittingham wanted me to come back. We met after the season. She wanted me to come back, and I said I don't trust. I don't trust that Bravo won't take further torture to my reputation, my name, you know, who I am. The reality is, look, I came back. It took me a long time to crawl off my sofa after that. It took me a long time and a lot of therapy. And the reality is that, you know, that name can do a lot of damage to a person when that's
Yes.
not their intention. And that's not who they are. And it hurt my ability to help charities in town. I mean, I remember when they came back and they were like, just come in and do a video for like what you would if you came to 5, what would you say? And I'm like, fine, like, you know, wear me down, I'll come in. So I went in and they were like, and I said something like, well, I'm the ambassador for, you know, this organization. And they're like, really? People still want to work with you? That was the owner of the production company.
Yeah, I'd have been done too. I'd have been like, listen, that just feels malicious at this point. You blatantly feels
no, but listen, that was my whole experience over all the seasons. I remember in season 2, we'd come back from the rodeo and I was so tired and everybody was tired and everybody that lives close by Deandra had just went ahead and ordered Ubers on the way. I didn't think about it. I'm tired. And we took an Uber back from Fort Worth and everybody jumps out and gets in their cars and goes. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't drive. I need an Uber. I go, why can't I just, can this guy drop me off? I'm already in the car. Can he just take me up the street? It's like literally 5 miles. And they were like, no, we'll call you an Uber X.
Yikes. Yikes. Yikes.
We're in Correas, and there's only one flight that has 2 first-class seats back from Mexico to Dallas, and so the production company decided to let Stephanie and Brandy go on that flight, and the rest of us could wait for a flight that connected through Mexico City and not get to Dallas until like 10 o'clock at night.
Listen, as a person who speaks very consistently on race relations and social awareness in the pop culture space, I know Bravo for their works. Okay. And so it is very satisfying is the wrong word, but for lack of better words, it's very endearing to hear the amount of ignorance they will display on y'all just as much as they will us. It is crazy. Like, it is very interesting.
They really want to control how you think about each of us.
Yeah.
They have a very clear role for each person, and they want you to only listen to the direction that they want you to see us in. And that was very difficult for them with me, because a lot of times they'd be like, hey, LeeAnne, we need you to say this. And I'd be like, no, that's not how I feel. I'm not going to say that. I'm not faking it to the audience. I'm going to be me. If I fuck up, if I fall, if I break my face on a glass plane, whatever it is, whatever I do, I'm going to do it authentically, because I'm going to have to explain it. And I'm not going to sit there and say, well, production made me say it, which is what a lot of my cast members will say now. And you see, you're not going to hear those words come out of my mouth. I'm going to tell you what I went through. That night, after going to that square, Cameron found me in my shower, on the floor of my shower, in my clothes, with the water hitting me, bawling my eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
I also had to, by the way, Deandra loved to point out the fact that there was a preteen at a picnic table about 3 feet from us that had her hands tied underneath the table and a hoodie over her head, and she was going to get sold that night. And I couldn't do anything to stop it. I mean, I could have, but I probably would have been kidnapped, or, you know, I had no one backing my ass up.
Right.
And
right.
I every day have to deal with the fact that that girl probably isn't even alive right now. And I have to answer to God for that. No one else. And that, my soul. Every time I think about it, it breaks my fucking soul. So when I say I was triggered that night, I was at max Q, bitch. I don't care what you think, how you think. This is just got to come out, because I'm so upset. How many times have you been so upset you said totally the wrong thing, that like not even what you meant, but you were just so pissed you couldn't form the words? That's where I was.
More than I'd like to admit on camera.
Me too.
More than I would like to admit on camera. God ain't got to me yet, so I'm still. He ain't got. God got a long list of people to work on before
he get. He got to get through me, child. He's. Sometimes he just throws his hands up.
Right. So I'm
okay,
like, God's still screening my calls right now. We'll get there.
I love that. I love that.
Brand new caller ID, and my name is right now. We're gonna talk about it. Circle back in a year. we'll see how he feels.
You know what? All you got to do is believe in Jesus, and you're saved. That's it.
Tell me about it. Now let's flip the energy just a little bit.
Okay.
What was the most fulfilling thing for you to film during your time on Dallas?
My wedding. By far, my wedding. I wanted the world to see how amazing my husband was, because he got so much bad rap from all the shit people said about him. But my husband and the way he loves me is so unique and rare and so comforting and like his love is like a warm security blanket that's just constantly wrapped around me. I feel safer than I've ever felt in my life. I know if anyone ever tries to mug me, hurt me, anything, I will be like, please, sir, you do not understand. My husband will take a spoon. He will put you in his backyard and it will take him 6 weeks to kill you. They'll never find your body. Like, save yourself. Don't let me be, because he loves me, and his vows that day and my reaction to his vows were I'd never heard his vows before. My reaction was so like authentically how he and I talk with one another. And it just, the best day of my life.
I absolutely love that. And it was absolutely gorgeous. I said, child, I'm not a fancy person. I'm a minimalist, but I was all for the free, she, fancy. I was giving that day. I said, y'all some fancy bitches up in here. I like that now.
And and like Joe Pachetti, who runs that loaned me the jewelry, he's the one, he texted me. I have his text of the tiara, the emerald and diamond tiara, and was like, all he sent was the picture of that. And he said, too much ? And like, that was before the wedding, like way before wedding planning. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, it just, the whole experience was everything I could have imagined it to be, and everything that I personally could not have afforded or would have not spent on. Like, I'm just kind of like that. For me, like, I drive a car until it, I rip the bottom of it off, drunk at the Jack in a Box,
I absolutely. Shout out to Jack in the Box.
Tiny tacos. Damn it.
Man. Now, if we were to ever get you back on reality TV, not Housewives, apparently, not Housewives, because I don't think you deserve that, but what would your return to reality TV look like in this space?
Well, my return is going to be sooner than most people think. I'm actually going next month to start filming, and it's going to be good. It's a travel thing, so it's going to be fun, but it's going to be allowing my personality to shine, So I'm super excited.
About 5 shows. So I was like, wait, did she do it? Did she do it?
Oh, I'm not going to do an ultimate girls trip. No, I don't think they'll invite me to do one of those.
I figured it wouldn't be just because you were like, bitch, I'm not going back to Housewives. Y'all think I'm going back to Bravo? No, ma'am. Yeah. But then I was like, well, could it be Celebrity Big Brother?
I know. There's a lot of good ones all over the world. There's like UK and Australia versions of all of the contests. I think I just want to be a little more authentic. I just don't want to work that hard. You know what I mean? Like on those shows, I feel like you got to manipulate. I'm not a good manipulator. I would love to say I'm not a great liar. I don't think I am, but I probably am just from being a carny, and an actress. Yeah. But I'm not good at being fake. I can tell you that. I can act, but I cannot fake it. Unless it's an orgasm.
Well, you know, we've all had to fake one or two of those. Hey, husband. Shout out to you, dog. Still keeping it spicy out here. Work. Okay. Now, so stay tuned, children. Miss Locken will be back sooner than we think. Stay tuned. Sounds like she's gonna be somewhere cross seas. So get your subscription coins in order. Okay. Now, what has reality television taught you about people?
Um, well, that Satan runs Twitter, although I hear Elon Musk has it now, so we'll see if he can clear that up. That people can only perceive you from their own perceptions, from their level of perception. So while our levels of perception, because of what we've been experienced to, may be greater, which means we may have more grace room, some people who don't have that don't have as much grace room. So I think being on reality TV has taught me that no matter what the show, if it's not just about you and you don't have control over the edit, you can literally be anything they choose you to make. They choose to make you.
That was very eloquently put. I love the way that you put that when you said that some people who haven't experienced as much as others don't have as much grace room as others. That is the title of this episode. That was brilliant.
Thank you. Well, that was honest. And you know what? At first, you're immediately hurt when people come out and start attacking you. You're hurt, you're offended, you want to defend yourself. But the reality is that being in a defensive mode just doesn't benefit you at all. That I step away, give grace. I mean, that's what there's a block button for, And even to this day, when people come, oh my God, on Instagram, I love that Facetune finally came in and commented. Because, I do like a good Facetune, okay? I'm not going to lie.
I don't need it, ma'am. You don't need to be Facetuned.
Oh, no, there are parts of me that definitely need to be Facetuned. Anyway, but, people come on and be like, oh my God, you don't even look like you. And I'm like, how can I not look like me? Like, it's literally a picture of me.
It's my actual face. Like, this isn't Patty Sanger. Get off my back.
Yeah. Like, it's not my dog with a blonde wig. Come on. Like,
let me live, please.
Yeah. And I'm not somebody who's like, it's not tuned. I'm like, bitch, of course it's tuned. Do y'all not remember me saying when someone asked me about Botox or like taking care of myself, I was like, listen, my goal in life is when I'm dead is some like 21-year-old boy opens my coffin and I am still look good enough to want to have sex with, I win.
Word. That was very Death Becomes Her. I love that.
Very.
That was very Death Becomes Her. I love that. I love that.
I want to die with some nice bolt-ons and a tight face and some fake hair and teeth, sharp set of nails.
I have to be at your funeral. Hopefully it's no time soon. But I have to get into this. I have to get into this mug. I have to get into the manicure.
Yes.
I've got to get into the Chanel suit they'll bury you in. I got to be there.
Yeah. But it's got to have cleavage.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
Just saying.
You got to meet Jesus in style. Child.
I mean, hello.
You got to meet Jesus correct, honey. He was only 33. I'm just saying. He's still a young man.
He had long hair. He was
okay.
Yes.
That part. Now, what have you learned about yourself from doing reality television?
A lot. And you know what? For that, I will say I'm very grateful to Bravo for letting me be on the show because I really have learned so much about my mental health and how to take care of myself and how to mature the things that I didn't know I even needed to mature at the time. And I feel like I'm a completely different person than the girl who started the show. I really do feel like that. And I feel like I handle things a lot differently. I also feel filter got a lot less, which is not necessarily a good thing, but I am definitely I'm still the girl who's, I'm not gonna lie to you, so don't ask me something you don't want to know the answer to, because I'm gonna tell you whether you want, you ask. So yes, your butt looks good big in those jeans. Okay. I mean, I just but I think that definitely I'm not the same girl that started the show. I mean, that girl had so much more energy and bounce and brightness for the world. And I think that after everything I've gone through, I just have so much more of a real perspective about life and people and what I really want to be able to do, in my community. I just want to all I really do is I really want to make a difference. I want to hopefully find a way to stop people from having to go through anything that I've already gone through, so they don't have to suffer any shame or pain. So if I can do something that is an example of, hey, by the way, don't be doing that shit, then that was my goal. I think the most beautiful things that shine are the most fractured. And I definitely am one very fractured human, but I didn't want to hide that. I didn't try, not like some of my cast. I didn't try to make myself like I'm the perfect person. I'm not. I would never tell you that I'm perfect, because I know I'm not. I wasn't born perfect, and I sure the hell ain't gonna die perfect. It has a waste of energy to try to be perfect. I am joyful being me. I am grateful for what God has given me, the challenges, the struggles, the accolades, the gifts, everything. Because at this point in this time in my life, I'm happy. And no one can take that away from me. No matter what's said on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. You just can't. I'm joyful,
Absolutely. Do you think you found yourself yet?
Yeah. I think I keep finding more of myself. I'm taking DJ lessons. I went axe throwing the other day. I'm living large again. So that part I'm loving. Although I threw my damn arm out, it really fucking hurts.
I'm about to say, nah, we just may need to bury the hatchet instead of throwing it.
No, it's fun throwing it. It was so fun. Especially because you got to have cocktails.
I'm dying to go.
Oh, it's so fun.
I am dying to go.
See,
now.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No. Ask me. I'm going to learn to be quiet.
What does the person you've become today tell your younger self in retrospect? What do you tell the girl in the carnival that is working her way out into the world? What do you tell her now?
If I was going to try to make her world a better place, I would tell her, put more time being honest, and to learn to value yourself more. Because that's probably something that I still struggle with, self-worth, like learn to value yourself more. Learn that you don't have to make everyone like you, learn to just love life, because that's what it's about.
10 million %. 10 million %.
That baby has got to go outside or be on camera.
Yes, my dog. I don't know what's going on, but I'm having an internal panic attack, trying not to like freak out. But I'm like, what is going on?
My dog does it every time I get on camera. I'm surprised I try to get in the seat with me.
Mine is usually laying here asleep, so I don't know what my daughter has going on in there. But I am like having a panic attack. Jesus Christ.
You're gonna go out there and the dog's gonna have lipstick on, a dress.
In full drag. How do you want to be remembered?
I'd like to be remembered as someone who cared about other people and who tried to make a difference.
I think that's pretty short and simple. And that means you're already doing that.
Yes.
I love that. That's all that matters. My last question to you before I release you into the wild is, Right.
And go rescue your dog.
And go rescue my dog. Right. That. Where can the people find you and all of the things you want to promote? What is next for LeeAnne Locken?
I spend the majority of my time on Instagram. I just, I'm just too old for more than one platform. I dabble on Twitter. I haven't visited Facebook. I can't even tell you. And I don't know if MySpace still exists. So,
as bad as I wish MySpace did exist, it doesn't.
Oh, good. Thank you, Jesus. Instagram is where I spend most of my time, and I don't really spend a tremendous amount of time. I mean, my stories, I find funny stuff that I love to share. I love dog stuff. I love animals. I love babies. I love memes. I love stuff like that. And I try to share them in my stories. But then as we get closer to like starting to film and then like my travel magazine, I'll be sharing more of that as well. So, the new year is just getting started, and I'm already sweating for thinking about all the stuff I'm going to do.
That is so exciting. I feel the same way about my new year. This is the first year that I've kind of walked into with a lot of opportunities coming, with a lot of projects I'm working on. This is the first time I've walked into a new year with things that I can't talk about. So I'm like, yeah, it's a great year. I'm so excited for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for asking me, and I pray to God that your dog is okay.
I hear scammering and running right now, so I feel like it's okay. Okay. We'll see.
Okay.
Anyway. No one's crying. It's fine.
Okay, good. Thank you for having me. Thank you for asking me hard questions, and thank you for wanting to understand more about why and finding the truth to actual what happened, and not just continuing the rhetoric of what Bravo says.
Of course. I felt like watching the actual footage, I was like, there's a deeper conversation that needs to be had, and nobody's talking about it from this angle. So I was like, well, she came on the podcast. I'll ask her. She can tell me to fuck myself. It's fine. But
which you would have enjoyed that too. So see, you were a win-win.
Win-win here. We're getting something out of this regardless. But yes, I really was like, there's more to be said here, and there's more to cover from here. And I was like, I don't understand why they took it completely to the left and didn't even stop in the middle. Like, they just passed go, didn't collect $200. You went straight to jail, girl. Yeah. Like, it was weird. And
I went to prison. I didn't go to jail.
You went to prisons, girl, and it was not fair. And I was like, I need to talk to you about this, because I think people would expect me to cover this in a certain way. Good. And I was like, there's more that I need to see. There's more that I need to say. And I just think that they took what they could and ran all the way to the Bahamas with it. And I just was like, I need to have you go in depth on that. So.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Of course, your story has been amazing. Talking to you has been amazing. You're freaking hilarious. You are hilarious. I like, child, my entire throat hurts from laughing. I appreciate you, honey. That my throat ain't hurt this good since my husband been home from truck driving. So I appreciate you. And speaking of, shout out to your husband too.
Yeah. Shout out to Rich. Whoop whoop.
What up, Rich? Thank you for the time. But yes, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. You enjoy the rest of your year. Continue changing the world and continue being a light. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Anytime. And on that note, children, Miss Locken has to go. She has given us the entire story, the kit and the caboodle, and it's time for her to go, child. Okay.
Thank you.
We're giving y'all enough. Thank you so much, love, of course. Anytime when the new show comes out, feel free to come back. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've loved this time with you.
Thank you so much. On that note, guys, that has been our show. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. And I want to extend another special thank you to my guest, LeeAnne Locken, for blessing the podcast. It's been amazing. Thank you so much again. I want to remind every single one of you guys, like I do every day, to be real, stay in reality, and always, always bring the realness. I am Sean Ellis Rogers. This has been Real Reality Realness. I love every single one of you from the bottom of my green heart emoji. And until next time, misbehave yourselves. Peace. Bye, guys.